Next up is one of my favorite cards. It's one of Juan's favorite cards too. So it's Lead the Stampede. For those of you who don't know, it's a reprint. It's 2 and a green for a sorcery. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal any number of creature cards among them and put the revealed cards into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. In the right deck, this is just draw 4 or 5 cards.
Yeah, usually when I saw it, I sent it to you because I was like, oh, elves.
Yeah.
This is 100% like the elf card.
Yeah.
Where you just get to reload because your deck is like 16 lands, 4 Lead the Stampedes, and then 40 creatures.
Right.
And you're always going to hit at least 3, if not 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm. This also works favorably with the gods, because the gods are technically a creature when they're in your deck and in your hand, even though they might not be a creature when they're on the battlefield. If a god is good enough to run for whatever the static effect is on the card, this will still find it. So like if you're like a Clothis or something, this will still find a Clothis. And in the Gruul decks, they really don't run many non-creature spells. They run a couple planeswalkers and some fight spells. But I mean, now you have some cards that, ETP and fight things, so maybe you don't even need the fight spells anymore.
Yeah, and again, going back to all the adventure creatures, that's
true.
The spell side of it is stapled to a creature, so Lead the Stampede finds your
Bone Crusher Giant.
Yeah, Bone Crusher Giant, Murderous Rider.
Yep.
So this also finds your removal spells in your interaction.
Yep. The card it plays a lot better than it reads, so don't underestimate this card when you're brewing up your initial decks for the standard season.
But you do definitely have the deck building constraint of this needs to be
creature heavy.
You need to have 30 plus creatures in your deck before this starts to be really good and pay you off.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't cast Divination. Actually, you probably would cast Divination that looked at 5 and drew you 2 for 3 mana.
Yeah.
And that's probably fail. Like, even if you're running like a not super creature heavy deck, like that's probably still fail case scenario for this. Like if you're somewhere in like the 25 creature range, you're probably looking at 5 take 2.
Yeah. Which like Divination is questionable for constructed, and this doesn't help you hit your land drops.
Right, but Divination doesn't look at 5 cards either. Yeah,
but it's not like you get to select which 2 that you want. Right, like if it was, 3 mana, look at 5, pick any 2, then 100% this would be played. But being 3 mana, only take creatures.
Well, right, but like, in the deck that you're going to play it, though, that's all you want is creatures.
Yeah, fair.
You're looking to refill your hand on, turn 5 or whatever. You're looking to draw a creature and then play it. On turn 5, you've already played a bunch of stuff from your hand. You get to look at the top 5 cards and pick 2 creatures. Like that's better than Divination.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Next up is Migration Path, which is 3 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic lands. Put them onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle your library. And it has Cycling 2.
Yep.
This, I do believe, is just the strictly better Explosive Vegetation.
It is.
And so putting Cycling on a card like this is really good because on turn 4, you want to use this card to get to 6 mana. Right. But on turn 7 or 8, you don't want any more lands. You want gas.
You find your thing.
And this gives you a chance to get gas.
Yep.
So it definitely gives you that flexibility.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem with like the ramp style decks that would want this card is they're very there's a duality to them. There's the ramp half of the deck and the payoff half of the deck. And a lot of times the downfall of that deck is you either get all the ramp stuff or all the payoff stuff. Now, recently, our ramp cards have also been payoff cards. So a lot of you guys that are listening might not understand this duality that I'm talking about because Nissa is ramp and a payoff, and Uro is ramp and a payoff. But when you're trying to cast just big stuff and not have, ramp stapled to your big stuff, this card is like leaps and bounds. This is everything that you want to do.
Yeah.
So
it is great for making sure you don't flood out.
Yeah.
And making sure you do get to the land that you need to cast your giant thing.
Yep.
Next up is one that I put on here. I'm the one who put the niche eternal maybe playable sideboard cards, and that's Wilt. It's 1 and a green for an instant. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. and it has cycling too.
Mhm.
So I think when Throne of Eldraine came out, I was the one who was like, hey, Return to Nature is just better, or I guess it was War of the Spark. This is just better naturalized, right? This is also better naturalized, but better in a different way.
Correct.
Right? Like, there's no reason to ever sleeve up naturalize ever in Magic ever again.
Well,
right?
I mean, unless that's all that's legal.
Unless that's all that's fine. But in like anything that's not standard, naturalize is now like never playable.
Right.
Because now you have naturalize, and you've brought it in your eternal matchup in Modern for if they have a Blood Moon, and you draw it and they don't have a Blood Moon, and you're like, I need gas right now. Pay 2 mana, get rid of it.
Yep.
Right. So you just have that flexibility of it's never dead.
Yeah.
So it's just a card to keep an eye on. This is a card, and same with Heartless Act, that like get a couple foils, because they're a card that is going to see play in older formats more than likely, and those foils, if they're cheap now, they won't be cheap in like 2 years.
Heartless Act in particular, I believe, is going to be an F&M promo.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, I think I saw that. So maybe that one, just grab the F&M promo or whatever. But that first card that we talked about was Light of Hope.
Yes.
There's another one that you might want to grab a couple foil copies of.
Yeah, because it's a key play in Eternal format. So.
Yep.